Here we are. Can you hear me?
I can now. I had to turn it on.
All right. Awesome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's been a raw vegan week for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Been a raw vegan week. You've been exercising, you've been working out, you've been meditating. Yeah?
Yep. Yep.
You've been doing that for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, the end of the fast day, I ate fruits and then I had a salad and then my husband made some mashed potatoes and I ate a little bit, but I didn't even finish them because they didn't even taste good. So
There's
that's
nothing
the
wrong with eating a little bit of cooked foods. We have to be
it
able to
was.
have a balance. It has to be a natural balance. It has
I
to
know
be a
it was
natural balance. It can't be elimination.
right. And
It
they were
has to be
healthy
a
mashed
bit of both.
potatoes.
It has to have a routine. It has to have a rhythm. It has to have a
Yeah.
pattern.
Yeah, they were good. They didn't have no fat in them. They just had garlic in them, and but they just didn't. I don't know. Maybe I was too full from all the other stuff too. I don't know.
Maybe it's in your mind.
Maybe.
Maybe now
Could
you're
be.
thinking it's so bad that as soon as you have it, you feel bad.
Well, I do. I am like that.
Uh-huh.
Like, I feel like my body is the only thing I have control of. You know what I mean? In my life.
Yes, but then that idea that we have to be, perfect or all one way or all the other way, and one side's all good and the other side's all bad, that's just not correct at
Yeah.
all. The truth is that we are all good and all bad. We are both. There is no
Yeah. But
bad
I do
side and
have,
good side.
right. But I do have issues with food. Like I do have celiac, so I can't have wheat or
Okay.
gluten.
Well, yeah. I
And then
mean,
I
if you're
I
at a point where you're demonstrating
yeah.
disease,
And then
obviously.
so I think I do have other food sensitivities as well. And I bloat really easy on grains. And
Well, I mean, going to the raw foods is the way we want to trend, right? Like it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all of the time. It just needs to be most of the time.
right.
I
And I
need to
do
eat
feel
the
better on raw.
right things most of the time. So if I say 4 days of the week, I know I'm most of the time. If I say Monday to Friday morning, Monday to Friday afternoon, that's most of the time. If I relax on Friday night and I relax on Saturday and I relax on Sunday, that's okay. But
Yeah.
from Monday until Friday afternoon, I contain and live inside of a system and a method and embrace a raw food diet and lifestyle
Yeah.
that's going to be lifting up my frequency and vibration most of the time. That's kind of like a back and forth. It gives you a little bit of leeway either way.
Yeah. But then once I start eating crap, I kind of, then you crave it. So
There you go, though. But this is the thing. But you're going to say you're never going to eat crap again for the rest of your life. And you can try it. But I've been doing it for
yeah,
30 years, and I promise you,
right. I know.
you're never going to live the rest of your life without eating anything crap. But you can give it a try.
Right.
I don't want to take you off of the goal. That is ultimately the goal, is to be perfect, yes. But some people
Right.
need a little bit more time than just 2 weeks to adjust. And so I like to introduce people to something that allows people a little bit of leeway. Now you can play it out however you want to play it out. You, as soon as you've had the experience of being with the raw foods and you see the difference, you recognize what is best. And
Yeah.
especially at the beginning, when you get inspired like that and you feel that and you know that, it's like your come back to Jesus moment. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to do it. And then so you're on a tangent. So you may want to be on a tangent for 3 weeks, for 3 months, or for 3 years.
Yeah.
You may be on a tangent of trying to purify, detoxify, rise up your frequency, expand yourself, grow. Or it may go in fits and spurts. Some people, they get inspired by it and then they kind of go back and forth. And Everyone
Yeah.
is wonderful and everyone is awesome. The point is that we want to inspire people to move in this direction. We want to move people towards raw foods. We
Yeah.
want to, I think, let people know that fasting and raw foods is a magical way to change your life. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree.
Why don't you share what happened with you over the last 2 weeks when we've been hanging out together for a couple of weeks, exercising, eating right, talking right, meditating, doing all the kind of right things. What has happened for you to you?
Well, I kept a little journal. So my goal was to become more aware of like what I'm doing, like what I'm putting in my mouth instead of just eating because I'm hungry and just grabbing whatever, to spend more
Reactive.
time. Yeah. Because like usually I'm just watching kids and I'll make toast and just eat peanut butter toast or, whatever's just sitting there. I don't take the time to make a salad or I eat a lot of
Just
fruit.
whatever,
Fruit's easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Fruit's
taking a
easy.
haphazard attack at my nutrition, but
Yeah. So I wanted to like become more aware of what I was doing to develop some more self-control.
nice. Self-discipline.
And
That's how you do it. Awesome.
and then I spent most of my time reading or meditating or gardening barefooted or exercising, watching your videos. And you were really good on your videos. I felt like you had a really calming voice and you had a really good way of bringing me back, to the present moment. Because I live in the past and I live in the future. I don't
These are
live like right
habits.
now.
These are habits. These are
Yeah,
programs, right? That have us
right.
stuck thinking about the past or thinking about the future. And that's very common and that's very normal. And habits of thought take a little bit of time in order to be changed. We have to create new habits of thought. And that doesn't happen overnight, but it can happen. And it happens through habit and rehearsal and behavior and repetitive action. So it's getting into a
Yeah.
practice, it's getting into a habit that allows change to happen.
And I think a lot of my like I don't remember things, and I think it's because I'm not living in the present. Like people say we just did this or that, or you remember when we did this, and I'll be like, no, I don't remember that. But I think it's because I'm not really there when we're doing it. Because I'm always somewhere else in my mind, thinking about the past or
So did
worrying
this
about the
make you
future.
more present? Did you find that this
Yeah,
experience made you?
yeah, I do. I felt like it just brought me back to reality, to the here and now, kind of. And so that was good.
So what
That's something I want
aspect
to.
of it? What is it? Is it raw foods makes you more aware?
Well, not eating makes you more aware too, like the fasting,
Ah, not
and the
eating
intermittent
makes you
fasting.
more aware.
Yeah, because when you're not eating, because when I guess you eat out of habit and it just gives you something to do, and you just are filling your body with food instead of, I don't know how to explain it, but when I wasn't eating, all these emotions came up, all these, things and
Wonderful,
so
wonderful,
yeah, and you have
wonderful.
to think of something else to do, and so you're just doing things that, like I was cleaning out my drawers, I was making a budget, I was working in the yard, I was doing my stretches or whatever. And so I was way more present than I usually am. I'm usually just doing, whatever, playing on my phone or watching kids or cleaning, I don't know, eating.
Just
So
doing things, yeah.
doing stuff, yeah. But it was crazy how many emotions came up too that I thought that I dealt with, and so they're still there, and I don't know.
This emotional thing, this is a very big one. Because what this is this is the shadow. This is the low frequency stuff, right? This
Yeah,
stuff is literally trapped in our bodies.
yeah,
It started off as perception, something that we thought about a circumstance or a situation that happened in our life. It's something we're thinking about. We've been thinking about it for a lifetime though. And it's got a lot of emotional stuff attached to it. It's closest to us. It's our most personal stuff. It's the stuff we love. And it's actually gotten into our physical structure, like cellularly in our bones, our bone cells, like in the
Yeah.
cells of our bones. And the cells of our bones, the cells of our structure are replaced like in a year and a half. Like every single cell in the body is replaced in a year and a half. If you are diligent, like with this practice, your entire body will renew itself. It's not an overnight thing, but you've learned
Right.
the system and you've
Yeah.
learned a method. So now you just need to work through it and continue to grow. And every time you go through it, you're going to grow and expand. Every time you work through it, you're going to grow and expand.
Yeah.
And as you grow and expand, more lower frequency stuff is going to come up. Always the shadow, the lower stuff is going to come up. You're going to get emotions, old emotions. You're going to have to, stuff's going to come up. And you may be like, I don't like that. I don't want to think about that. I hate it when and you kind of want to power away from it. But actually what you need to do is go into it. It's like, you got to go like, okay, I'm ready now. Okay, now I'm ready to feel it even more. I'm ready to feel more of it. You've got to invite it up. And then you got to be ready to lay down with it. And like, maybe you got to rest. Maybe you got to sleep. Maybe you got to scream. Maybe you got to be quiet. Maybe you got to cry. Maybe it's something that has to come out emotionally, and you'll feel it, and it'll be a release. And it may not happen the first time. But as you continue to grow and expand yourself by exercising properly and eating properly and working on your thoughts and words and energy, if this has inspired you and you feel like you feel better this way, because this is not something now that I'm forcing. It's like, no, this is how I like to be. This is like loving me. It's not like I'm going like, oh, I don't want to eat. I'm trying not to eat. Like it's poor me. I don't get to eat meat. Poor me, I don't get to drink milk. Poor me, I don't get to eat cheese. You know, I don't get to drink alcohol or coffee, or I've reduced that stuff in my life. Poor me, like I can't get to have those cookies. Well, no, it's like I feel so much better this way that it's not poor me at all. It's like I want to feel my best.
Yeah.
It's striving for your best. It's a change of perception, right? Instead of like, I'm doing it, oh, I've got to do this. No, it's like, I want to do this because I'm better. I know that. I feel that. I can sense it. Even though there was some tough bits, I can tell I'm upgraded. I can feel it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I learned like the masculine and feminine attributes. I didn't, you know, that's something that I learned from your course. Kind of, I learned how to deal with people who don't agree with me. Kind of. They still don't agree with me.
Maybe a little better.
Yeah. Let me see what else. My bloated belly went away.
The bloated belly went away. Yeah. Does that feel better?
And then I drank a lot more water because I really like coffee and mate. And I didn't drink any coffee, and I drank a little mate, but I try to reduce it, you know.
Save those things for the weekends or holidays or celebrations. Those things are great for those things.
Yeah, I didn't drink any alcohol at all or anything like that. So, but I drank at least a half gallon of water every day, so I felt like my skin looked better than it usually does. And well,
very nice. And did you lose weight?
I lost 8 pounds.
You lost 8 pounds.
Yeah, I went from 128 to 120.
In 10 days. In 10 days.
Yeah, and I lost an inch off my waist.
And an inch off of your waist?
I wasn't trying to lose weight, but I mean, when you fast, I guess you do. So
you lost. So it wasn't really a goal to lose weight, but you ended up losing 8 pounds in 10 days. And have you been inspired by the raw food experience or by fasting? I mean, what would you say? Would you say that fasting and raw foods is a good way to heal your body naturally, or what would you say?
I think it's probably the best and maybe the only way to heal your body naturally. So I don't see how any kind of a medical treatment can heal You know what I mean? I've never ever felt that way. Prescription drugs, I've never taken them, except for make antibiotics or something, you know, but I've never believed in surgery or drugs for health at all. So yeah, I feel like raw food and sunshine and fasting. I think the fasting really helped a lot, just to be empty for most of the day. You know, I only ate between like 2 and 4, or maybe 4 and 6. You know, or I never went beyond that. So it wasn't that hard. You know, just sometimes I get like I'd see food and I'd get like the urge to grab it and eat it, but it passes pretty quick. You just drink some water, go outside. But yeah, I think it's the only way to heal, actually.
And are you inspired to tell people about it or continue with it or do it more? Or would you want to tell your friends? Would you want to tell people? Would you want to build a community around you? Would you want to help people to do that more?
I'm kind of a hermit. Don't really have a lot of friends. I have family. And I do try to get my family to eat better all the time, but they kind of do what they want. So
yeah, and I find you can get so inspired by this lifestyle that you try to tell everyone to try to do it, but then like it falls on deaf ears. Like everyone kind of has to find it on their own, and just like they have to want to find out about it, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of times they have to have a health crisis.
Unfortunately, it has to be a problem, doesn't there? There has to be a real pain or something, doesn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
Well, and I probably would have never tried to learn about health at all if I hadn't developed celiac, you know, because I had celiac for 10 years before I knew what I had, and I thought I was dying. You know, I had so much pain, and the doctors just wanted to put me on antidepressants, and I was like, no, I'm not depressed. It's when I eat, you know, I get this pain. And it took me forever. I finally had to ask for the celiac test because they never once offered it. They just kept wanting to give me drugs or take my gallbladder out or whatever. And I just kept studying and reading. And when I read about celiac, I was like, it can't be that. I've been eating wheat my whole life, you know. But then I decided to ask for the test just out of curiosity, and that's what it was. So.
And then you started to pursue like alternative or natural medicines, or you know, how can I?
Well, during that 10 years, I took the herbal, like Dr. Christopher's herbal master herbalist class, and trying to learn that way. And I didn't figure it out that way either, but I learned a lot about herbs and stuff and natural healing and the mucusless diet and things like that. And I did go gluten-free, and I did do a fruitarian diet for 2 weeks one time, and that was really good. But I was eating all day long. I wasn't intermittent fasting. I was just eating all day long, but I felt amazing. But I think the fasting does a lot more for your emotional health.
So maybe just a little more structure, just having a bit more structure in the program, really. It's ideas that you've already heard. So you've heard about these raw food ideas. You've heard about these food ideas. You've heard about fasting, but you never kind of pulled it all together.
Right. I've never, well, I have intermittent fasted when I was going to the gym and I was still eating chicken and things like that. I was doing it more for, I don't know why, just because I heard it was a thing to do. And I have fasted before. I was raised Mormon, so I've known fasting my whole life. And I had done a 3-day fast previously once, but I hadn't done this whole thing together.
So really it was really pulling it all together collectively. Exercise, nutrition, mindset, and presence, consciousness, the meditative aspect of it, like the actually spending time loving yourself, giving care to yourself.
Yeah.
So pulling that all together created an 8-pound weight loss in 10 days, an inch off your waist, and it sounds like a little bit more inspiration to go further in this direction, growing further this way?
Yeah, I want to stick with it for sure.
And you said even like you felt like you were managing people in your life differently or better?
Well, I feel like I'm managing my own life better. Well, and I don't know. Like I feel like I'm trying to get more organized. Like just like I made a budget and I, cleaning things out, dejunking a little bit.
So it makes you kind of go into the self, working on the self. Like it's really self
Right.
development. It
Yeah.
pushes into a deeper self development, doesn't it? It makes you make decisions. It makes you get clear, right? It gives you clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of thought work. It's a bit uncomfortable, but if you push through into it, it actually eases and makes us feel better afterwards, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I am trying to like have more love and, acceptance for other people, even my enemies and people who are treating me crappy right now.
Takes a minute. Takes a minute.
That's a hard one.
That's all shadow stuff, and that's all going to come up with time. All that shadow stuff's going to come up with time, and as we work on expanding ourselves more of that stuff is going to come up, and memories of things that have happened in our past, and things were like, well, this person did this or that person did that, and he did this and she did that, and there's a lot of that. We all have these things in our life.
Yeah.
We all have these things in our life, and the truth of the matter is, and there's nothing wrong. Like I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having these things. Everyone is entitled to these things, and everyone's ready when they're ready. It's to assess. It's assess things as they are, do an honest assessment of things as they are, and then it's to say that, what, I accept this is the way it is. I give it a hug. This is me. This is how my life is, and I'm ready to move forward from here. And how do I want it to become? What do I want to do with it? So it's not to avoid that negative stuff. It's to step into it. It's to really accept it, embrace it. So it's to allow that shadow to come in. And if it means that I got to lay down, and if it means I got to sleep, if it takes a couple of days to come through me, if it means I got to stretch, if it means I got to breathe and just slow down, maybe I got to take a nap, maybe I got to fast for a little bit more. But sometimes that's how these things can move through. You got to kind of speak to them. You got to be your own best friend. You got to talk to those things. You got to talk to that part of yourself. You got to speak to your shadow. You got to encourage it. You got to encourage it to come to the light. You want to try to balance these two ends, these two bits of ourself. That's being present. It's basically presence. It's not being in the mind. It's being in a consciousness. It's being in a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's being in a, maybe like, it's not in thought. It's not in busyness.
Right.
It's out of thought.
Yeah.
Right. So that's it. That's the space of love. That space of love. It's just non-judgmental. It's non-competitive. It's unified. It's we all have that space. We all have that balanced space, that love space. That's universal, and that's the healing space. It's the same thing. Health, love. It's the same thing. They're the same. They're just a vibration. They're just a frequency within us. We can tune ourselves up to it more and more and more. We can expand ourselves. We can grow in every way, in all aspects of our life. It can show up in every single way. I'm really glad that we got to meet each other, Elena.
Yeah, it's been good. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
program.
Thank you for tuning in, and I'll be doing more. So hopefully you'll be tuning in some more.
Yeah, I will.
All right. I'll be watching
Okay.
for you then.
All right.
Okay. See you.
All right. See ya. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.